In our last episode, we fully explored Foggy Bottom. We got there by taking Tunnel 014-B Potomac. In that tunnel, we found a door leading to Georgetown, and when we got to Foggy Bottom, we found a door leading to Metro Central, a gate leading to DuPont Circle, and another door leading to Georgetown. We had so many options in front of us, but we had to make a choice. Well, since we found two doors leading to Georgetown, we decided to explore Georgetown first. After arriving in Georgetown from the Foggy Bottom entrance, we killed a couple of mutants and centaurs, and then we took Canal Street West. There, we found the other Georgetown entrance we discovered from the Potomac Tunnel, and we took a staircase up to another platform right in front of a ruin filled with super mutants to find a gate to yet another metro station, which the Pip-Boy called the Tepid Sewer. Well, before exploring Georgetown, we've got to figure out what this Tepid Sewer is all about. And so, we headed inside. On the other side of the gate, we were greeted by darkness. The only light came from an illuminated pre-war poster. Moving forward, we see that we can barely pass through the turnstiles. This hallway is completely filled in with rubble. And when we arrive at the ramp leading down to the waiting platform, we find it blocked in with rubble. But to the south, we do find a door. Opening the door, we arrive at the top of a staircase. And at the bottom, we find two options: to turn right through a doorway, or go left to head down some stairs and open a security gate. But then... Ow! Oh, great, more mole rats. And we're too far away from Jury Street Station to take advantage of their mole rat meat. Alright, so to the right are more mole rats, but let's see what's on the other side of the security door to the left. We arrive in some sort of turbine room. There is an open door to the left and a closed door to the right. The mole rat in this room is already dead. Moving into the open room to the left, we find a workshop with another dead mole rat here. We find a shelf bedecked with boxes to the right. There is a box on the bottom of the shelf, but it is just filled with rusty tin cans. Next to this is a makeshift anvil, and to the left of this is a workbench with a bottle cap mine inside. To the left of this are two more shelves filled with even more scrap. We find tools in one wooden box and some railway spikes on a lower shelf. But that's it for this room, so heading back to the turbine room, we can cross it to open the other door. This leads to a storage room. We find an armoire labeled tool cabinet to the right with some scrap inside. We find empty lockers and another shelf covered in scrap. But this room appears to be a dead end. So, retracing our steps, we can this time take the path to the west where the mole rats came from. Here we find even more dead mole rats. I'm starting to wonder what has been killing these mole rats and how did it miss a few. This is a large room, but it's pretty empty. It opens through a hallway to the south. Then, rounding a corner... Well, that's the answer. Creeping inside, we can let the mole rats do their work.
That's how it's done, boys.
But eventually, the raider is successful.
God damn it!
Well, we wandered down this staircase, trying to kill the raider, so let's head back upstairs and finish exploring the room he was in. The walls and ceiling are covered in white pipes. To the left of the staircase is a door locked with an easy lock terminal. We could pick it, or we can hack the terminal. After hacking the terminal, we find an option to unlock the door. On the other side of the door, we find another storage room. To the left, we find more scrap, a first aid kit on the wall. Right above, 2 average locked cases, a grenade box, and a personal footlocker. Putting on our Vault 101 utility jumpsuit to bump our lockpicking up to the 50 we need to pick them, we can first pick the grenade box to get a stack of grenades, and then pick the personal footlocker to find a 32 caliber pistol, ammunition bottle caps, and a power fist. Well, we can grab all of this to repair the weapons we already have, including the shocker. The rest of the boxes on these shelves are empty, so back to the room with all the pipes. We can now go down the staircase where we killed the raider. We arrive in another machine room. To the southwest, we find another utility door, and to the west, we find another hallway with more mole rats. Let's try that utility door first. But it leads to a dead end. Turning around, we can try to, at last, get a jump on these mole rats. Man, I really need to work on my stealth. I can't get a jump on anything. Down the stairs, we arrive in a small room, which opens through a door to the west, which leads to a train tunnel. But right in front of us is a frag mine on the ground. Turning right, we see the train cars still on the tracks, and to the left, we find a bunch of sandbag barricades. Must be more raiders that way. Moving right, we find this path completely blocked in, so turning back around, we can try to sneak up behind those raiders. But the pathway is littered with frag mines. In the darkness, it's hard to see them, but for a glowing orange light in the middle of them, ever so cautiously, we can creep forward and loot them one by one. Okay, her back is to me. Surely I can sneak up on this one. Creeping forward. Oh, of course! Doggone it, there was a room to the right with a raider in it, and she saw me. Well, we can wait for him. We almost died there, but we killed her. Her name was Rocksalt. She was a raider boss. On her body, we find ammo for the assault rifle and the shotgun, and Rocksalt's key. After healing on up, we can look behind this first sandbag barricade. Here we find a first aid kit with a lunchbox on the ground. Next to the first aid kit and on the ground beneath it are some frag grenades. And then to the right of the construction light, we find 2 ammo canisters with 10 mil rounds and 44 magnum rounds. All right, so the path continues on to the south, but Rocksalt and her raiders came out of this room to the right. Well, let's head on up here first, see if it's clear. We arrive at an intersection. The path to the right is blocked. The path to the left leads to a small room, but then we hear a voice coming from the path before us. This is why we should always keep our weapons loaded. Awful having to reload in the middle of a fight. Well, I think that's it for this little raider base. Moving into the room this guy came from, we arrive at their barracks and kitchen. Lots of pots and pans and glasses and cutlery all over the place. Against the eastern wall is a fridge filled with boxed foods. Lots of kitchen utensils and scrap on shelves. Against the northern wall, in one of the boxes we do find a metro ticket. Then against the western wall, we find their bunk beds. There's some crunchy mute fruit lying on the ground before this bunk bed. There's an assault rifle lying on a shelf against the western wall, and a pre-war book lying on top of it. That's 100 caps from Scribe Yearling. Next to the second bunk bed, we find another personal footlocker with caps inside, booze on a shelf behind us. And to the left of this bunk bed is a safe. We can use Rocksalt's safe key to open it. And inside we find a stack of nearly 60 bottle caps, a scoped 44 Magnum, and 2 Stealth Boys. Turning around, we find another shelf. In the box at the bottom, we find 2 hockey masks and another pre-war book. There are some darts on a middle shelf. A repaired up hockey mask has a DR of 3. That's only 1 less than our combat helmet in its current state, and it gives us an unarmed bonus of +5. We can sleep in Rocksalt's bed to heal on up, and then back out to the intersection. We know the path to the left is blocked, so turning right, we arrive in a small room, which itself has 2 other rooms connected to it. The one to the left is just filled with pipes and a turbine. However, sitting on the turbine, at the back of it, we find a toolbox, and lying behind the toolbox next to some wonder glue and a wrench is a copy of Dean's Electronics. Moving out of this one and exploring the other one, we find a desk with a hammer radio on it. And listening closely, we appear to hear some sort of code. Oh wait, we just turned the ham radio on. The sound is actually coming from this stack of computers here. So no coded message. This stack must have controlled some of the machinery in the Tepid sewers. But that's it for this room. We've explored the raider lair. Retracing our steps, heading back to the tracks, we can turn right. Behind the second sandbag barricade, we find an ammo box with shotgun shells in it, and next to the construction light, we find a stack of frag mines. The mines continue down the pathway. We gotta be careful that we don't get too hasty. The timer on these is less than a second. One tiny slip up and... Oh, God. I just need to stop talking and pay attention to what I'm doing. That's what I need to do. Oh, and I crippled a limb and everything. Well, there's one stim pack lost. After looting the final frag mines lying around here, we find ourselves encumbered. I'm gonna try to use as many of these as I can, better than just dropping them. I should mention at this point that I'm suffering from advanced radiation poisoning. Despite the radiation suit, after all of the food I've been eating and all of the irradiated water I've been wading through, I haven't found enough radaway to keep the rads away. I'm over 500, halfway to death. I really hope I find a solution to this problem while exploring the metro tunnels before it's too late. The end of the tunnel is blocked in with rubble, but we do find a door here to the left. This leads to another long room with a console and more dead mole rats. There's nothing here, but it does open up through a door to the right, which leads to a hallway filled with dead mole rats. But at least one is still alive. We can make use of our frag mines. But he didn't want to come. We can try to lure him over here. Oh, wait, what? That was a turret on the ceiling, and it moved. Looks like it then shot the mole rat. Is it gonna shoot me? Grabbing our frag mine, we can try to walk into the room without attracting attention from the turret. Quickly moving to the left. Oh no, back into the room. But I heard more. Heading back in and turning left, we find a bunch of mole rats stuck on the stairs. But that does them. Now, all we hear is the beeping of the turret. Well, maybe I can find a terminal around here. Walking around these hallways, we see that they kind of lead into a big loop. We do find a shelf here, but before we can loot it... Oh, crap. It's coming for us. But wait, can it even hit us from here? Oh. Yes, it can. It can. Well, let's see if we can find a terminal. But all these hallways loop back to the main one. I couldn't find a terminal anywhere. Wandering around to the north, we find a staircase that leads up into a room. But here we find the room completely empty, just pre-war machinery, a big pile of rubble, no enemies, no loot. Turning around, we find a door to the left, but the same story here, just a huge turbine, nothing of interest. And continuing south, we see that the pathway just leads us back to that main hallway of turret horror. Well, I'm gonna have to sneak up on this guy. Turning off our light and switching to the shotgun, we can move around one of these pillars to try and get behind it. Oh, but it saw me, and it started to move towards me. But since all of these pathways move back to the hallway, we can go around this pillar to get behind it. And it's done. Oh! Why was that? Oh, you sneaky buggers! They placed an explosive generator right next to this turret. So as soon as the turret explodes, it ignites the generator, which means if we stand too close to it, we get hurt like I did. Ooh, that was devious. And another stim pack gone. Well, north down the hallway is the way we came from, so we need to turn around and move south. Aside from the looping tunnels that led to rooms we already explored, the rest of these are all blocked in with rubble. We can at last loot that shelf we saw. Here we find a first aid box with stim packs inside, just in time. And then continue south. The southern hallway rounds to the right, where we at last find the turret control system. Oh, but my science wasn't high enough to be able to use it anyway. Using console commands just to see what was inside, we see that the raiders have done a little bit of post-apocalyptic hacking. If we access system information, it says, user log, administrator, new admin, screw you! Welcome, new user, screw you, new targeting parameters, screw you, user group. Charming raiders, as always, very charming. Sure enough, we could have deactivated the turret from here, but missed opportunity that. Grabbing that stack of frag mines to try to lighten our load, we can head up the staircase to see what's here. Hallway to the left, door to the right. Opening the door. More rat! One more! Stinking mole rats, man. Well, the room that first mole rat was trapped in was a storage room. Here we found a first aid kit with stim packs inside, a couple of boxes that are just filled in with scrap. So turning around, we can move down the opposite end. Here we find a staircase to the right and a path leading off to the left. Well, heading upstairs, we can see what's here, and it's a door that leads out to the capital wasteland. We arrive in the dead of night, the only light coming from the soft glow of a few street lamps. Turning around, we appear to have come out of a hidden utility door by the water. Looking west, we see the Anchorage Memorial. Oh, now I know where I am. It's hard to tell at night. So here's what it looks like during the day. We see the door we came from leads to an underground facility that we just explored beneath Dukov's place. You'll remember Dukov's place from the video I did on Dukov called You Gotta Shoot Him in the Head. What an interesting chap he was. Then to the right we find the Anchorage Memorial, which I also explored in a video on the Anchorage Memorial. Looking at the Pip-Boy, we see that discovering this entrance puts the Tepid sewers on our map. North of us, we find the two entrances to Georgetown that we discovered in the last video. Well, as this takes us outside of the metro system, back to the open world, let's head back in. We've still got so much to explore. Down the stairs and turning right, we arrive in a huge, mostly empty room. Some boxes on shelves to the right that are empty, some lockers against the wall to the left of them that are empty. Tables and shelves that are all empty, so that's it for the Tepid sewers. To continue exploring, we need to retrace our steps. So doing so, we can take a pit stop at Rocksalt's lair to sleep until morning, then navigating all the way back through the entire labyrinth until we arrive again at this unnamed metro station. We can take the metal gate back out to Georgetown. Tepid sewers clear. I had intended to explore all of Georgetown in today's episode, but upon editing the footage, it ended up being a really long episode, and I ran out of time. So we'll stop here after exploring the Tepid sewers and continue with the rest of Georgetown in my next episode. I publish new Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss that episode, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification button. If you have already, but you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below. or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. YouTube members and patrons on Patreon gain access to a private channel on my Discord server, and YouTube members get little badges that appear next to their names in the comment sections of my videos, and access to ox emojis that they can use in the comments and in the chats of my live streams. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.